So there are some ongoing, this case that Neil referred to, the E-Star case, involved a corporation and a number of the corporation's employees. So we're continuing to work through payment issues on as to some of the tax liability that the government is still collecting. But the case actually raises what I think is an interesting issue for us as particularly coming from a false claim practitioner's point of view, which is, in my view, and I'm fairly confident about this, at least in that situation, the success of that case, I think, largely came about because the criminal division was able to work with the whistleblower on an ongoing basis in terms of developing evidence, developing information that ultimately led to a search warrant. Had that search warrant not been executed and had that evidence not been obtained, particularly in that case because it was a Taiwanese company, and there was tremendous difficulties in getting records from Taiwan. One of the frustrations that we've experienced in talking about practical issues is, and I don't know if Tom and Steve can comment on this, but my sense is that the civil division is really, they view historically their function as doing audits as opposed to doing investigations. So they look at any given case as an audit, and these guys are tremendously skilled. I'm sure some of the best fraud investigators in the world, and they make tremendous cases, very complicated cases. But having said all that, it seems like the civil division is reluctant to embrace the whistleblower concept as someone who's bringing value as a live witness. So that if I understand, for instance, what was said today, I mean, and this is just about the. I think it's a fair. Well, that's just been my experience. And if I understand what was said today, I didn't really fully realize this. But the SME, if a case gets referred out of the whistleblower's office to the subject matter expert, they then send the case to the auditor. For the auditor, is not going to have any direct interaction with the whistleblower. It's going to be the subject matter expert who has interaction with the whistleblower. And so, look, frankly, for me, what the question raises, and I'd like to see these guys respond to the cases that we've had, and this is just partly because our practice predated the whistleblower office, but the cases that we've seen success in, frankly, have been cases where we've been able to take them directly to a CI agent or an AUSA, like you would in a Keaton case. And these are obviously criminal cases. These are not, underpayment cases or borderline, fraud cases or inferentially fraud cases. These are, obviously cases that the service and an AUSA thinks could rise to criminal conduct. There are the cases we've had success on because, frankly, they've embraced our clients, they've briefed our clients, they've gotten the evidence, they've kind of run with it. When we've dealt directly with the civil auditors, our experience has been very much like we used to hear in the False Claims Act 15 years ago. We'll let you know when we need to talk to you, we'll get back to you, and literally, and again, this is just practical experience. Years can go by before they talk to your client, which raises the question, from our perspective, if we think the client has a value to add to an investigation, it's very frustrating to know that your client isn't even being interviewed. So I would say, when Neil and I were talking about this, and I know you guys have a different view of it, but
well, don't assume too much.
Okay, well, it's just been our very practical experience that the cases that have moved, and there's lots of other problems bringing a case criminally. You probably can't collect on a criminal fine. Well, I'm sure you can't collect on the criminal fine, at least from the IRS point of view. It slows down the civil audit, but the cases that have moved successfully and frankly where they've made best use of our information in our view have been criminal cases, and they have been cases where we've been able to take it right to a CI agent or an AUSA who goes, oh my God, this is a great case, I want to work it, bring your client in, let's do this, X, Y, and Z, and certainly the one bite rule doesn't apply. So if there was, you know, one practical sort of point that I think that, where I would sort of disagree with what I've seen presented thus far in terms of tone today, it would be whether if you have a case that is good enough that you think has the fraud indicia of a criminal case, is that, you know, should you take that directly to a CI, to a AUSA, or should you take it to the whistleblower's office in the first instance? Now, of course, you have to take it to the whistleblower's office and get paid, ultimately.